Hello, welcome to my 26th Spelunky Daily Challenge video, which will actually be a Spelunky Daily Challenge this time. It's the 30th of December, so happy Christmas, happy New Year. People have played today, which is interesting, and so there are scores there that I can attempt to beat, so that's really cool. No one's actually done that for ages. Quite excited about that. Today's topic for the Daily Challenge, which still fits in the theme of ideas and inspirations and things like that, is America. And that's a topic that, as I say, obviously the theme is things that have influenced or inspired me. It's a big topic, but obviously I'll be trying to come at it from the... Oops, immediately didn't mean to do that. I'm having a bit of a problem with the key that makes me jump. It's a topic I'll be coming at from sort of my own angle. I mean, I could generally tell you things about America, but the point is more sort of what I got from it. You probably know America was invented in 1776 by Ben Franklin after he was struck by lightning, and then afterwards inspiration. And then the basic draft of America was put together by like John Adams and Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin. And it's actually, being serious for a moment, it's actually really interesting to have a document that sort of gives you a idea of what a country should be, or sort of gives you a prototyping or a design document or something like that. That's interesting. But you possibly know that already. If you're American, I bet you probably know a lot about that, because America generally, I think, has quite a strong focus on its own history and culture and its education, which I'm not necessarily saying is a good or a bad thing. I think it's an interesting thing. I think it happens much more than it does in, say, Britain. And it's not just that obviously Britain has... America might have 250 years of history of existing as a country. Whereas, is it worth trying to use 2 bombs to get that crate? I don't think it is. You know, obviously Britain has, many other countries have a longer history. It's not that there's less history to learn quicker. I think it's much more that there is a focus on America in a number of ways that are interesting. I mean, I don't know any other country that does something like the Pledge of Allegiance, which is sort of a verbal contract that you make kids sign, and it's not generally it's not a common thing to make kids sign contracts when they're young. It's just not a thing that tends to happen. But this is all stuff I may or may not come back to. The reason... I think I just hit myself in the face with my own torch there. Just trying to throw it up. That's very weird. Very strange. Very lucky not to land on the spikes. Oh dear. Okay, the torch is now somewhere. That's helpful. That's useful. But yeah, the reason I'm talking about it and the influence on me is, well, let me try and explain. I was born in 1980, so I grew up as a proper 80s kid. As I am 33 years old. Anything that you read, believe me, to the alternative on the internet is probably a joke or something based on something else. And I watched a lot of TV when I was younger, as probably a lot of people did, and maybe still do. I actually feel really regretful about the amount of TV I watched, and I didn't spend more of my time doing other things instead, like being a bit more creative or a bit more proactive. And I watched a lot of American TV, as many people do around the world, because TV's quite a big American export. And America may not always realise just how much of a big export it can be. But it felt almost like America had a large role in just exporting the 80s. Certainly a lot of my sort of memories of the 80s and of growing up, or of things that excited me or things that I was interested in, were American things. When I was young, as well as watching a bunch of cartoons and whatnot, I was actually a pretty big fan of the A-Team when I was young. I thought the A-Team was amazing. I thought B.A. Baracus was great, and Hannibal Smith was great. Not the other guys were there, but B.A. Baracus was sort of amusing and had attitude, and Hannibal Smith was very clever and a little bit smarmy. And I've always liked people who are a bit clever, or certainly when I was younger, I liked clever and smarmy characters like Peter Venkman and Harrison Ford, who are also American characters from, oh dear, whoops, good thing there's no spikes down there, from American Things. That is the sound of me being slightly unhappy with how some of this has turned out. Thank you. And when you oh dear, when you export something like the 18, you're exporting a particularly, I suppose. No, I don't want to go in there. This, I'll tell you right now, this is going awfully. I'm not concentrating. I've run out of ropes. Don't know why I fired that rope up into a place where I knew it wasn't going to go. America in the 80s exported a very Republican vision of itself. America was obviously governed for 8 years by Ronald Reagan, who himself was an actor, an entertainer, and he'd been so in many films and also in the army. And I remember Ronald Reagan actually quite vividly, being on TV occasionally and being another quite effective American export, I guess. I don't know how am I getting out of here. What am I doing here exactly? That's it. That's what I'm doing. And the image of America that I got excited me an awful lot when I was young. And it worked particularly well for a kid. It was an image of a place where anyone has the ability to fix problems. Anyone can, I don't want to say take justice into their own hands, that's not quite what I'm trying to say. But it's a place where you stand up for yourself and you are validated in doing so. It's a place where, as a kid in the 80s, good and evil are very binary things. There's even a two-party system. And generally the best way to beat bad guys in America in the 80s, in television shows made by people like Glenn A. Larson, is the use of force. That's fine, that didn't hurt, because it's only half an arrow. It's fine. The use of force is a justified recourse, justified way to solve a problem. And the examination of what causes a problem to happen is actually not so much relevant, and way less interesting than how you actually solve the problem by doing cool things, like making stuff explode. And all that was, hopefully some of that makes a degree of sense. All of that was very enticing to a... That's not where I wanted to throw that. If I can make the other thing blow up, I might be able to get the dog. I need to stop getting hit by the same half of an arrow shaft. Can I get the dog? Do I even want to get the dog? I can't sacrifice the dog because I can't get back up there. I've got 3 bombs left. I feel like I'm a person who needs 3 bombs right now, so let's not do that. Got a lot of money. I think I've probably won the daily challenge already. But that romanticising... So not focused today, so not focused. That romanticising stayed with me very much, and it was always a dream and an ambition to go to America, which is not something I actually did until I was 22 in 2002, and which I actually did for a whole bunch of different reasons. Partly I just always wanted to, and it probably sounds slightly idealistic or silly, but after the events of September the 11th, 2001, fewer people were travelling. Travel became cheaper, and certainly fewer people were travelling to the US. And I thought, well, I want to go, and I don't want to be scared of going. And I know a lot of people aren't going, but screw that. I'm gonna fall down a hole and die because of a strange coincidence of events that was entirely beyond my control. And the thing is, what I feel is... In summary, it's great. Oh, this is amazing. Just the game just is not done with me. In summary, America has an extraordinary, still has an extraordinary image that it projects, which at the same time doesn't actually reflect my experience of America. And I understand the feelings that people have of a country that some people are saying, oh, it's far too insular, it's far too self-absorbed, and others pointing out that actually it's an incredibly diverse country. And I think it's a terrible mistake to prejudge America and Americans the way that some people otherwise do. Certainly I have a lot of friends who are Americans, and I've been to America many times and will be at least twice more this coming year. And I'm always delighted to do so, and I'm always excited to meet Americans. And I always have a good time in America. And perhaps because of its size and its profile, it's an easier target to poke at than other places. But I'm not sure that means its problems are singular or any more worthy of your derision than problems anywhere else. So it's good. We had a lot of time for this video. I managed to articulate many complex points that I'd put aside. So thanks for watching. I definitely haven't sold the topic short of a place that I like a lot and think has a great history and culture, and is flawed, but so is everywhere. Have I just basically said the same thing for about... Bye!